Welcome evening. Welcome to the Living in Utah channel. I'm Mike Gallagher. I'm a local real estate agent right here in the local area. 8 p.m. Mountain Time every Thursday. Live question and answer session. It's just an open forum. You're welcome to ask any kind of questions you want. If you want to talk about the state of Utah, you want to talk about real estate, maybe you're joining us from another country and you just want to talk about the United States in general, definitely will help you. Talk a little bit about what's going on in the news and anything else that might come up. Just go ahead and post your questions and we will begin. It has been a chilly week in the state of Utah. We had a cold front that came through the whole state, brought that Arctic air from Alaska and Canada down, frigid temperatures. Of course, it came across much of the United States. I noticed in Texas, they've got ice storms going on. Very cold in Texas. Also, it dropped that far down. So it's covered the whole state of Utah. We are starting to improve temperature-wise, rising a little. So it was cold for a couple nights. There were some places, some people's homes and businesses that the pipes froze and some burst. I believe it was in Taylorsville. They had some businesses there that had a sprinkler system, fire suppression sprinkler system, that it froze and burst and flooded the place. So good stuff. Good stuff. Some questions here. Let me get started there. Christian, what's the rent prices looking like in Utah? I'm here in Florida and pay $2,300 for a 2-bedroom apartment. It depends on what area you are looking in, but in general, I believe you will find something lower than $2,300, a nice place. I would say you can be on a 2-bedroom. You can be anywhere from $900, and people are going to be shocked about that, but $900 to and upwards. Now, the newer construction that's being built, you're probably $1,500, $1,700, $1,800 on the newer apartments that are being built. And it's going to depend on what neighborhood you are in and what or if you're close to amenities, et cetera, but I would say somewhere in that price range. And when I said $900 and I dropped that low, that's actually what I charge for. I have a 4-plex unit when they're 2-bedroom, 1-bath units, and we are in the $900 range. That's why I said 900. So you might be able to find some others around there. Not too often, but that's an older unit. They were built in like 1981. We have rehabbed them. They're nice inside, but they're not like the brand new apartment buildings where the whole exterior and everything was just built over the last 5 years. So, but anyways, yeah, I think you'll find something lower than $2,300. And yeah, it depends on the amenity. I mean, you definitely could find stuff for $2,300, but in general, I think you'll be less money. And depends what city you're in too. Do you think Utah should raise its minimum wage? Good question. In my opinion, in Utah, we do not have a quote. We do not follow like the minimum wage number that the federal government does. I haven't. Let me rephrase it another way. If you are a business, and it doesn't matter what business you are, whether it's construction, retail, and you advertise jobs for minimum wage, it'll be very, very, very difficult filling those positions because there's signs all over town starting at $15 an hour, $20 an hour, all over in all different industries in the work sector. So minimum wage, you would have a hard time Very hard time employing someone at minimum wage here in Utah. Curtis, hello, good evening. How is Utah doing with all the new construction? Well, good question. New construction is suffering. There's no doubt. We've got a little bit of a abundance of new construction. Some builders, or many builders, as the slowdown occurred, already had inventory that was almost done. They are working through that inventory. And brings up a couple questions too. I've noticed recently, like lumber is down considerably compared to what it was during COVID. Possibly some of the other construction materials. I don't really keep a large tab on some of the construction materials, but in general, I feel that some of the pricing has come down a little bit. Probably not to pre-pandemic levels. We've got inflation in the market, et cetera, et cetera. But when we were doing the OSB board for $50 a board, and that's 3/8 OSB 4x8 sheets, I think that's down to like $17-18 now. So, but of course, before pandemic, I think it was about $13, $12. Anyways, so we're seeing a reduction. I'm seeing a little bit of reduction in material costs. What the new construction is fighting right now, they're fighting interest rates also. Most builders have to finance these projects. Their finance costs are going through the roof. So it's hard for them to lower prices. It really is. So that's kind of where we're at in new construction. I think it's going to take some time, really. It would take time to lower new construction costs. There has to be a mindset change with the subcontractors. Many subcontractors are used to charging X amount of dollars, and most of the time they have raised their rates considerably over the last 5 years, especially in Utah. There's been so much work out there, so they just have raised their rates. Those rates will have to come down. Land cost, development cost will also have to come down in order to build new construction at a little bit lower of a price. It's a challenge for new builders. It really is a challenge. It's not, you just can't flip a switch and go, prices are lower. Where an existing home, sometimes people are flexible, or they would like to get the price that homes were going for 6 months ago, but if they are moving somewhere or don't want to rent a house and absolutely want to sell it, they're going to have to sell it for what the market value will bear. And if that's lower than what it was last year, that's what they will have to accept. So with new construction, it's a little bit tougher. Most builders aren't willing to sell a home for $30,000, $40,000 for less than what they have into the home. They do that, 20 times. They're $1 million in the hole, maybe. All right. Still way cheaper than Florida. Okay. That's good to hear. I'm not aware of what the rental rates are in Florida. That's the first time I recall hearing about some rental rates in Florida. So, what era homes have the least problems if excluding houses built past the 2000s? Wow, I really don't know. I don't know. I've got my opinion. There's the old adage, they don't build things like they used to, and things don't last like they used to. I think the older construction, especially the brick exteriors, I think hold up better than where we've used vinyl siding, we've used aluminum siding, stucco, over time stucco cracks. Now you've got this wood that they have out, which has some high maintenance costs too. A lot of it's painted, and over time that paint will deteriorate. And I don't care what some of these paint companies say, where we've got the best paint and it will last. The sun is brutal. It it it's hard on paint. So if it's not cracking it, flaking it, where it chips off, a lot of your colors, like your blues and some of these other colors, will fade over time with the sun. The sun just is tough on the exterior. So there's drawdowns to that particular type of siding. I like the copper pipes as opposed to like the PEX. So it's hard to say. It's hard to say. But then when we look at homes that have built over the last 20, 25 years, the window technology is far better. Door technology is far better. Insulation is better. Because they, years ago, when it comes to insulation in the walls, we just had the rolls of insulation where you put them up in between the studs. Well, it's not a perfect seal, where now they can do the spray and foam. They spray it and they cut it all off, and it pretty much, it insulates the whole wall without missing any gaps in a sense. So give or take a little bit, I guess. All right, Florida's jumped huge. 2 years ago, I was paying $1,400 someplace each year. They raised, went up by $350. Yeah. And rental rates in Utah have gone up also. So what's a good house to rent out for a family of 7? I would say to look for a home that has a basement. Most homes that have a basement, so if you've got 3-4 bedrooms upstairs, a lot of basements have been a finished basement, I should say, not an unfinished basement, a finished basement. My house, for example, right here, we have 3 bedrooms upstairs. When I finished the basement down here, I put 3 bedrooms downstairs. We use one as a gym and one as I do my videos, my recording studio, I call it. So technically I have 6 bedrooms. So if you can find a home that has a finished basement, you'll find additional bedrooms in the basement, typically. So, and I guess if you had a family of 7, so you would need 6 bedrooms. Oh, my math was a little wrong. I was thinking of 7 bedrooms for a moment there. Sorry about that. But if you did need 7 bedrooms, for instance, I guess like mine, I've got a family room right here. I guess you could make that into a bedroom, I guess. So, or to buy. Yeah. Same way. Look for a home that has a basement. So with an existing family of 7, you'd probably want a home that has a finished basement as opposed to unfinished. Finishing a basement takes time. Even if you hire contractors to come in, it's going to take time. So if you could find a home that's already has a finished basement, which is not hard to do, would give you a lot more square footage. So, or the extra bedrooms that you need. Everyone moving from New York to Florida during COVID and pre-COVID caused major hike in everything here. Yes. Big push. Texas and Florida, 2 of the biggest hotspots in the country. Still biggest hotspots in the country, as to what I've seen. So it's definitely, yeah. Do you sell houses at all in Utah? Yes, we cover the whole state. So, happening in the news. If you are a skiing fan, this weekend, we have the Freestyle International Ski World Cup coming to Deer Valley. Actually starts today. Big event. Lot of some of the country and maybe even some of the world's best skiers will be skiing at the World Cup at Deer Valley. So great event, great facilities. And I did hear, and I'm not too sure, this article did not mention it. Somebody else had told me that there is some time periods where some of the events were free. That might be more like Thursday and Friday, I would guess, as opposed to the weekend, be my guess. But anyways, Deer Valley, that's where it's happening. The other news I had was yesterday, national news, the Federal Reserve is hiking interest rates another 0.25%. So pretty much all forms of lending will see an increase. Mortgages are tied to the 10-year Treasury note. So sometimes that 10-year Treasury note goes up and down. It fluctuates on a daily basis. So the rates do change. That's why mortgage rates change on a daily basis. But I would imagine that the Treasury notes will also go up in price. But the key point that I took from the chairman's speech that he gave yesterday is they plan on continuing rate increases. This is not the end. They plan on continuing. But there was some positive news. I always try to look for the positive news. They are noticing that the inflation is easing and the numbers are starting to change. We had non-farm payroll come out today. And we also seen that with the non-farm payroll, we saw the numbers change. So it appears that they're starting to get inflation under control. And that was the idea of raising the rates. Sometimes people feel that the government acts too quickly. So maybe we have raised them already enough or maybe too much, because sometimes it takes a while for these policies to take effect. So the good news I got out of it was that they're noticing that the inflation is easing, and but they are going to have more rate increases. But it was only 0.25%. Which is lower than what they have been doing. But if there's any bright spot, the inflation numbers are looking better. I didn't hear much about the possible recession that I noticed, but I guess that's the other thing we'll have to worry about at some point here. So as far as rates go, which is good news, which to me is great news. Being in the real estate industry, there was this big fear that we were going to go to 10, 11, 12% interest rates, mortgages, 10, 11, 12%. That's very high, very, very high. So it's something I don't want to see go that high. But when we're in the 6, 7% range, that's about a normal range. When we look at historic averages, 6 or 7% is about an average type of range. So going up to 10, 11, 12 would be devastating. I think it would be devastating. So on a lot of fronts. Any more questions this evening? I appreciate all the responses. It has been great. If not, we'll be back again next week, just before the Super Bowl. That was an exciting game last week. Kansas City versus Cincinnati. What an exciting game. So I think that the Kansas City-Philadelphia game will be just as exciting. Two high-powered teams that have played very, very well all year. So be interesting. Definitely looking forward to seeing that. But I'll be back again next Thursday. Hope everyone has a great evening. Take care. Stay safe.